Hello again. Decided it was time to get some video footage done, and while this particular day was kind of rather boring, I figure I'll throw some footage of of a bird that was deciding to hang out outside my window one day. So what I'm working on is just um, trimming up all of the spray foam now that it's had time to harden and cure, and making it flat along the floor so I can get the subfloor boards put back down, and then pulling some off the walls as well. And it's just a matter of working through it all. So this is this little guy is an American robin, and he was just sitting out in the twinberry and hawthorns that are outside my window, and he hung out there for quite a while, actually. I mean, long enough for me to decide to try and get some pictures of him. And he stood there and called for a while, and then decided to do some cleaning and preening, and eventually flew off, and I was able to actually catch him as he jumped. I had the camera set on maintaining an f-stop, though, instead of maintaining a shutter speed, so I didn't get a clear picture of his wings, but it was still a fun little experience. Definitely much more fun than trimming all of the spray foam. Now, this isn't necessarily a required step per se. If you don't fill the spray foam all the way, like fill the cavity all the way up with spray foam, then you don't have to worry about whether it's flat or not. But because we are trying to provide as much insulation as possible in the subfloor, and because I wanted to just get it all done right now for this section, I went ahead and just filled it with the closed cell foam. We've decided that the walls and roof will be sprayed with only 2 inches of closed cell foam, so that it will create a vapor and air barrier, and then any extra thickness beyond that we'll actually use open cell foam, because it's cheaper and actually provides sound deadening benefits that the closed cell foam doesn't. But for now, it's just working through trying to get all of that cleaned up, and then I'll work on putting that all those subfloor pieces back down. And I was originally going to try and squeeze the subfloor back together and then add an extra board. Now that the subfloors had time to dry, they've shrunk a little bit. But because I ended up using therefor for those angled subfloor pieces, it actually didn't shrink that much. And across the 8-foot section there, where I'm working at the moment, it only created a gap of like 3/4 of an inch total after squeezing them all together. So I ended up deciding that wasn't worth trying to fit something down there. And since the back section of the spare room trailer has an extra depth to the floor that isn't necessarily needing to be filled with insulation, I didn't have to trim anything under that risen section, and I ended up just taking all the trimmings and tossing them in there. Figured that is as good as any place, and then they're not going into the landfill. So that really didn't take very long. The knife that I'm using is an old kitchen knife that was a cheap one, and it was fairly flexible, so it worked pretty well. It's I use it to cut styrofoam and other things as well. Apparently I need a new handle for it if I'm going to keep doing it for projects like this, because I had used it for cutting styrofoam, and I stuck it in the fire to heat the blade up so I could slice through the styrofoam and melt it while it cut, and that apparently melted the tang inside of the handle because it only has a partial tang. So I don't know, I'll have to figure out a way to modify it down the road, but it's a pretty hammered knife, so it might just get melted into something else eventually. But like I said, I decided to go ahead and just throw all these little scraps in the resin cavity, and then making sure that everything fits, and then it's just a matter of screwing them down. When I originally put them in, knowing that we were going to be taking them up, I didn't want to screw them completely down, so they only actually had one screw in either end of the board. And putting them down now, I actually went through and put in one on every single floor joist as the subfloor crossed it, and then 3 or 4 in each of the end where it butted up against the next joint or up against the wall. That way everything is nice and completely secure. Lots of crawling around though, which Charlie was very, very confused by. Anytime I'm on the floor, it tends to mean that it's supposed to be playtime. And then little Bean there was investigating as well. And I actually had broke the bit, so I was picking the screw container up to see if I still had the bit that came with that particular tote, but I did not, so I had to go find one. And like I said, it's just a matter of working my way through here and screwing them all down and making sure everything is attached properly and securely. And it went pretty quick to actually get the subfloor boards back down, since they're already cut and they were already in place, and it was just a matter of putting them back in place once that foam was cleaned up. But we've actually started the paperwork and the processes involved for putting a house on the property on the 12-acre plot. So we've got the pre-approval done, we've got the floor plan chosen. We're hoping that I should get a raise next month, a fairly significant raise if everything goes as planned. So we actually are holding off on the actual application until we've got that in place, because then it makes a pretty big difference in what's there. Now, worst case scenario, if the loan or if the raise didn't come through, we have a choice picked out where we can get everything in, and so we'll, one way or the other, we should have a home on the property for us to live in by Thanksgiving, hopefully. But best case scenario, we get the raise, we can actually choose a slightly larger house, as well as having having a barn built into the loan, so that we can just get that done immediately as well. If we end up going with the smaller house and the smaller loan, then we'll just build the barn piecemeal over the winter, as long as I can get the footings in the ground before the rains come. Then I can keep working on it all winter long. So that'll be one of the main focuses this fall, this spring and summer, is depending on how things go. If it's going to be built as part of the loan, then I won't be doing much of anything other than potentially clearing and digging down into the ground, but they will be able to come in with equipment that can do that much faster. So I'll get lots of footage of that, but we'll see where everything ends up here in a couple more weeks. So with that in mind, the plan for this spare room trailer has kind of shifted. So in the back of the trailer where the table and the spray foam tanks are, that will actually become my office now. This section that we have insulated is still going to be where we install the wood burning stove, and then the front section where the camera's sitting will actually be kind of a little bit of a lounge relaxation area. We'll probably still keep a table up there in the back. It might not be that big of a like full-on dining room table like we have back there, but we've also decided that far back wall, to let more light in, we're actually going to put a large 3x6 window in. One of the windows we got from a local window manufacturing place that was throwing away a couple pallets of them, and since we were there to pick up pallets, I said, hey, do you care if we just take the pallet with the windows in it, since you're just going to take the windows out and smash them in the dumpster? And they said, sure, saves us from paying an extra 4,000 pounds in that particular dumpster. So we got like 12, I think, that are 4x6 and 11 that are 3x5 or 3x5.5 or something like that. And they're all double pane, argon filled, tempered glass skyrise windows. So they're pretty heavy duty. They're definitely overkill for what we will be doing, and they've just been sitting around waiting for me to build something to put them in. We kind of want to build a greenhouse with them, and that would be pretty sweet to have well insulated greenhouse. But anyway, that's it for the footage for today. So as always, thank you for your time and watching, and God bless you and yours.